Let's see the first question in this exercise, question 421. We have been given 5 sub-questions. We are supposed to find out the roots of the following quadratic equation. Roots mean nothing but simply solution. If you plot a graph of the polynomial, it's the point where the graph crosses the x-axis. That means the value of the polynomial should be equal to 0. And that's what they have been given us. We can use quadratic equation and straight away get the answer by substituting the value of constant ABC. However, they have specifically mentioned that the method to be used as method of factorization. So let's see what that means. Let's consider the first question, x square minus 3x minus 10 equal to 0. We are going to concentrate on the last term, negative 10. We are going to split that into two factors such that their sum total of the two factors will be equal to middle term. If we split this minus 10 as minus 5 and minus 2, plus 2, then their product is minus 10. However, their middle term, which is the total, minus 5 plus 2 will be equal to minus 3x. So we are going to split the middle term, negative 3x, as minus 5x and plus 2x. Now we are going to take x common from the first two terms. That will leave us x minus 5 in the bracket, because from x square, if you take x common, x will remain. From negative 5x, if you take x common, negative 5 will remain. Now from the last two terms, we will take 2 common and x minus 5 will remain in the bracket. We realize that x minus 5 is the factor which is going to be repeated. So we write that only once, and whatever is left over, that we will collect in another bracket. When two factors multiplied equal to 0, that means either one of these factors will be equal to 0. So if x minus 5 is 0, or x plus 2 equal to 0, or in extreme case, both will be equal to 0. So that gives us solution as x equal to 5, positive 5, and x equal to negative 2. We are going to enclose them in a pair of curly braces, so indicate that this is the solution set. So these are the two roots of the quadratic equation. Quadratic equations can have maximum 2 roots. Let's see the second question. 2x square plus x minus 6 equal to 0. Now, the first coefficient is not 1. Unlike the previous example, the first term was only x square. There was no coefficient. That means there was only 1. If there is a coefficient in the first term, we have to multiply that with the last term and consider their product for the splitting process. Here we are going to multiply 2 times negative 6. That will give us negative 12. And now that has to be split up in such a way that the middle term will come out to be positive 1. So that would be positive 4 and negative 3, such that their product is negative 12 and their sum total addition will be positive 1. I'm going to split the middle positive 1 as plus 4x and negative 3x. So this will be the split up. Now I'm going to concentrate on the first two terms. I will take 2x common, and then if you take 2x common from this one, x will remain. If you take 2x common for 4x, that will be only 2. From the next two terms, I'm going to take my negative 3 common, and I will get x plus 2 in the bracket. Note that x plus 2 is the repeated factor. We're going to write that only once, and whatever is left over, we will collect that in a second bracket. When two products are 0, then individual product can be 0, or in the extreme case, both can be 0. If x plus 2 is considered as 0, then we will get x equal to negative 2 as one of the roots. And if you consider 2x minus 3 equal to 0, then we'll get 2x equal to 3 or x equal to 3 by 2. So our solution set will be negative 2, comma 3 by 2. These will be the two roots for the quadratic equation. Let us consider the third case. Here we have numbers under radical sign, but the process will still remain the same. Here too, we have the first coefficient as something other than 1, so that must be considered. When you multiply root 2 times 5 root 2, the multiplication will be 10. Why? Because 5 times root 2 root 2, root 2 root 2 will become 2, and it will become 5 times 2, that will be 10. 10 we will split it as 5 and 2, such that their total will become the middle term. So that 7x, I'm going to write it as 2x plus 5x. From the first two terms, I can take a root 2 x common, and if you take a root 2 x common, then x will remain. If you take a root 2 x common from the second term, only root 2 will remain. Similarly, from the last two terms, I will take 5 common, then x plus root 2 will remain in the bracket. X plus root 2 is the factor going to get repeated. That will be written only once, and root 2x plus 5, that is the leftover, that will be collected in the second bracket. When either bracket is considered to be 0, we will get two solutions, just like the previous case. From this factor, I will get negative root 2. From this factor, I will get negative 5 divided by root 2. Now, at the end of the textbook, they have not rationalized this thing. They have left it as it is. But if you want to rationalize this second factor, multiply numerator and denominator by root 2, and then the answer will be negative 5 root 2 divided by 2. Since the textbook, at the end of the textbook, in the answer key, the solution is given just like that. I have left it as it is. The fourth question, we have this fraction. And in order to avoid this fraction, let's multiply throughout by 8. It doesn't make any difference because on the right hand side, we anyway have 0. So when you multiply the entire expression by 8, here we will get 16x square. Here we will get negative 8x. And here that 8 and 1 by 8 cancel themselves and only plus 1 will remain. Now the expression will be 16x square minus 8x plus 1, and the first and last term will be multiplied as 16. I will split this 16 as negative 4 and negative 4 such that their total will be negative 8. Now from the first two terms, I will take 4x common. That will leave 4x here and minus 1. From the last two terms, there is nothing that can be taken common. So I will take only negative 1 common, so that whatever is left over will match with whatever I have taken common from the first two terms. 4x minus 1 is common factor, and whatever is left over coincidentally comes as 4x minus 1 too. So in that case, we will get a repeated root, same root repeated twice. So the solution set will be 1/4, 1/4. Let's see the last question. Here 100x square minus 20x plus 1 equal to 0. 100 times 1 will be 100. That can be split as minus 10 and minus 10 such that their combination will be equal to middle term minus 20. Minus 20 will be split as minus 10 according to this split up criteria. From the first two terms, I will take 10x common. So 10x minus 1 will remain in the bracket. From next two terms, nothing can be taken common, but we can take negative 1 outside, and then 10x minus 1 will remain in the bracket. The common bracket will be written only as once, and whatever is left over, 10x minus 1, will go into the second bracket. Here too, we will get a repeated root, and the root will be 1/10, 1/10.